All right, let's talk about Kansas City Chiefs, Jacksonville Jaguars. What can the Jaguars do to try and slow Mahomes down? The chart you see on the screen, this is the Pro Football Focus grade for specific positional categories. I'm doing this kind of just to give us a gauge at where these teams are at. You see Kansas City on offense, a lot of low numbers. They finished second best in passing, and that's just pure passing, not quarterback play in general. So it's not taking into account scrambles and things like that. Their receiving was third best in football, so, we were all wondering with the Tyreek Hill stuff, okay, what are they going to do? I was actually kind of on the side of, I think the receiving core is better than people realize, but I had it ranked 17th heading into the year. So that's where we were at viewing this receiving core. Ends up finishing top 3, according to PFF. And Jaguars, the coverage unit has not been great all year, but I would say it's gotten a lot better in recent years. Like, they've moved Darius Williams back to a spot he's more comfortable in. I think that's done a lot of help for Jacksonville. So be on the lookout for that. It's 23rd, but I think it's better than 23rd now. Good pass rush against good pass protection. That should be an interesting dynamic. Should be interesting to see how that goes. You also have a team that run blocks well, doesn't have the greatest rushers, but still, if you run block, you can be effective. But Jacksonville defends to run well, so interesting stuff there. But going over here, I want to start off with this play because I think this is going to be a big thing that Kansas City will probably be effective in, which is, they're going to run a zone buster right here against this zone coverage, which the reality is when Jacksonville tried to play zone coverage the first time these two teams played, it just did not go well. But there's a couple of issues on this play. It's not just the zone buster itself. Look at that right there. The two defensive linemen, you're going to run a stunt right here, which teams love to do this against the Chiefs, but you gotta be careful running stunts against them. Teams do this so often, and this is what allows Mahomes to sometimes get outside the pocket. The last thing you want is to let Mahomes get outside the pocket. If he gets outside the pocket, he's just getting an explosive play. Like, that's just what Kansas City does. Watch how when Mahomes takes the snap, he sees that right here, no one is keeping containment right here, which you can run a stunt and still keep containment, but it almost feels like Kansas City when they block sometimes, when they see this stunt, they try to make sure that there's no containment because they know what Mahomes can do if he gets outside the pocket. Because of this, Mahomes scrambles out, and then he throws so well off balance, he is able to hit his receiver, Juju Smith-Schuster, on that play, who was running the zone buster, and that's great for several reasons. One, I don't know if he needed to get outside the pocket. I think he might have still been able to make that play regardless. But if he can get outside the pocket, he can really thrive. And you have to be careful with that stuff for Jacksonville. If you're going to rush Mahomes, it's a difficult thing to do. Heading over here now, this is another example of just the extra stuff that Kansas City does well. So it's going to be a zone buster once again, because like I said, when Jacksonville played zone, really Kansas City had no issue. And that's maybe, we'll talk about in just a second if that's the right strategy for Jacksonville to have heading into the playoff game or not. But the way this play works, it's designed to get Kelsey open. You have a receiver run a deep route. Kelsey's the route over the middle. But again, they're going to do something a little bit different. They're going to run a play action. That part's not that different, as a lot of times you run play actions to try to get linebackers out of position when you run this concept. But they're doing something else to really help sell it. That's what they're going to do, which is you see Mahomes, he's actually going to move towards the bottom of the screen a little bit. This is understanding the insane talent you have with Mahomes and making his job more difficult because he can carry more of the load and it can make it easier for other guys to get open. Like, watch how in practice when this play works, Mahomes, so again, it doesn't go too far, but does go sort of towards the bottom of the screen, which just helps allow those Jacksonville players to kind of move in that direction. They assume that's where the play is going. They're watching Mahomes. It's zone coverage, right? So they're paying attention to Mahomes. That little move, Kelsey probably could have gotten open regardless, but they're making it easier on Travis Kelsey, one of the best receiving tight ends of all time, if not the best receiving tight end of all time, and they're making his job easier. Yeah, going to be tough to cover. As you see, Mahomes is going to throw this ball to Kelsey, who's able to pick up a big chunk play. The reality is, I just think Jacksonville can't do this. I just think they can't sit back and play their zone coverage too much. I think that they have to be a little bit more creative in this one, and they have to try to find some other ways to attack this Chiefs offense, because just sitting back and playing zone last time really didn't work for you. So they could try something like this, right? You can try man coverage, which is, It's a little difficult for a couple of reasons. For one, this is only a single safety deep coverage. You can play cover 2 man, although that leaves you very open in the passing game, or excuse me, in the rushing game. So that's kind of an issue there. But, in the passing game, that's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to stop Mahomes. If you do something like this, does it give you an opportunity? Well, Mahomes takes a snap, Mahomes is going to look down the field, and nothing gets as open. I do think that this is the better opportunity to stop Mahomes and to stop the Chiefs, is to really, maybe the main thing is try to get them in obvious passing situations. If you can get them in a 3rd and 7, then you can try to man up against them, which they still didn't do in every obvious passing situation last time. But if you can get some obvious passing situations, play man coverage, you can get this situation where no one's really open. So, okay. One thing I talk about a lot is that no quarterback looks good in this situation, right? No quarterback looks good when receivers aren't getting open. There's a couple who can do it. There's a couple, Lamar Jackson can obviously look good in that situation, and Mahomes can look good in that situation using his legs. Watch him be able to scramble out, and I really think Mahomes' mobility will be a key factor in this one. Not to say that they need him to run, but I think that he will run effectively in this game, especially if they try to play man coverage. This is the issue, as he still picked up the first down. So this is the dilemma that Mahomes puts you in. But again, it's one of those things where the reality is you can count the number of games on one hand that Mahomes struggled with, right? He's typically very good. The goal is not to stop Mahomes. The goal is typically to limit Patrick Mahomes. If you look at the box score stats, the last time these two teams played, Jacksonville did not limit Mahomes. They really didn't. Mahomes was, great in this one. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, but still very good. 331 yards on 35 attempts. So nearly 10 yards per attempt here by Mahomes. Also had 39 yards rushing. The rushing game in general was good, as Isaiah Pacheco was able to have a good rushing performance in this one. And Kadarius Toney had some plays, not just on the ground, but also through the air. He had a touchdown as well. Kelsey had a good day. Marquez Valdes-Scantling had a good day. And it was just a plethora of different receivers coming through, which has kind of been what Kansas City has done all season. You look at the PFF grades from that game the last time they played, Patrick Mahomes well at the top of the list with a grade of over 90. So he was amazing in that game. And maybe that's the actual hope in the way that Jacksonville pulls off the upset. I actually think it is. I think the most likely outcome for a Jacksonville win is if Mahomes has an off day, which he's done before, right? He is human. This guy can have bad days just like everyone else can. And we've actually seen a couple times where in big spots, he's had bad days. He didn't have his best game in the AFC Championship game against Cincinnati. I would argue both Super Bowls were not his best performance. If you can get him to look human, that might be the way that you can, win. Although, again, I wouldn't bet on it, right? I'm not expecting that to happen. Kelsey also at the top of the list. Kadarius Toney was high up there as well, interestingly enough. At the bottom of the list, couple of halfbacks. You actually have 3 halfbacks in the bottom 5, which is interesting enough. But as a whole, it was a great offensive day. They had no issues on offense, and that's why, you have a lot of good grades. Going over to Jacksonville, only a couple of grades that are really, good. Andre Cisco, he played well, so they gave him a grade of 93, so give him some credit. But other than that, you have a massive jump. The next highest grade was 73.3. You have Trayvon Walker at number 3, so give him some credit, as he's someone who hasn't been great this season, but he actually played well in this game. So potentially there's some hope, but you definitely see towards the bottom a lot of those kind of depth pieces that aren't in there for every snap. When they had to play coverage, it went very poorly. That's just what happened. So that's a concern as well. Got to make sure that everyone's playing well, because Kansas City, they have so many different weapons. They will attack your weak spots in your defense. That's what they did so well that first time. So, okay, predictions time. The Jacksonville defense gives up a fine 2.01 points per drive on the season. That's fine. Kansas City's offense scores a league-leading 2.76 points per drive on the season, and in Week 10, they scored 27 points in the 9 drives they attempted to score points on, which was 3 points per drive. So what do I think happens here? Do I think they fall down to earth? I'm not going to predict it. I'm going to predict that they continue to look like the Kansas City Chiefs. They score 3 points per drive in this game. I think it'll be a heavy drive game. I think there will be a lot of passing, so I'll say 12 drives in this game. That would be 36 points. It's going to have to be a shootout, I think, if Jacksonville is going to pull off this upset. But again, it's possible, right? The easiest pathway to victory for me feels like limiting this, 36 points. That's a lot of points to give up. It's a lot of points to score. But do I think Jacksonville can score more than that? Well, you'll have to stay tuned and watch my next video where I preview the other side of the ball and talk about if they can do that. That should be out within the next 2 days. So make sure you subscribe on this channel, are looking out for that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.